you check the children. Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Bienvenidos, Fright fans. Welcome to the horror show. I'm Jaime and Fuego.
Wolfman.
And we are getting ready to do another wolf-centric sort of request from our dude, Seth Miller. And we are talking Wolf
Of Snow
Hollow.
Yes.
Damn reason, man. So written and directed by Jim Cummings. And I know that some people have a bit of mixed feelings about this guy because of the fact that he is eccentric, comedic, over the top. And some of that, like, bleeds into this film. But I don't know. I feel like it still maintains a sense of seriousness to it. How about you, man?
It does. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was a nice little surprise on like your werewolf type genre movies, because in a sense it's not your typical werewolf movie,
No,
which
not
I
at all.
enjoyed. But no, Jim Cummings in this, how he wrote his characters, he was very eccentric and just in times almost like a drama queen.
Very much himself, as I've seen him in
yeah.
other movies act.
Yep, and also too, like if you recognize, he did play the cop in Halloween Kills in one of the flashback scenes.
Which you brought to my attention,
Yeah.
which I totally forgot. Like, I'm
Yep.
more attuned to his, like, silly indie sort of...
Yeah, he gets killed by
goofiness.
Michael Myers in a flashback and shit
Yeah.
like that. It was interesting.
Yeah.
But no, with this movie it was definitely a nice little breath of fresh air for the werewolf genre, because it was also a mystery whodunit, and I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, I genuinely think that this is one of the few werewolf movies that captured the... So, I like Werewolf in Paris, alright, the sequel, but Werewolf in London
It's got a
specifically...
weird soft spot.
Yeah, but Werewolf in London, right, had, like, really gory, scary stuff, but yet also maintained some humor, and I think this is one of the few films that really... like almost duplicates that, dude. I'm like very close to it.
To a point, yeah. I can definitely I see where you're coming with on that.
Yeah, and it's the fact that you know the main guy has his own separate side story, which we also get in you know Werewolf in London, and the fact that you know everything from the prior war flashbacks and everything else. Yeah.
Real quick before we get into that,
No,
we
please do.
hit the story real quick. So do you want to tackle that?
Yeah. So story is the fact that we have a couple that are vacationing, and we see them at the very beginning of the film, and they get in the hot tub. Things are getting a little frisky. Whatever. Guy goes in, showers off. Girl is killed in a grisly fashion, and this is one of those like more rural, like vacation-y sort of communities. I can't remember if it's like Colorado or wherever it may
Something
be,
like that, yeah.
in some sort of cold
A
region
mountain
of the
town.
U.S. But yeah, so the entirety of the police contingent, the local law enforcement, is trying to figure out, and there's all kinds of different theories that are just plastered around, including the one where the sidekick guy is like, oh, he's like veering into the X-Files side of things. He's like,
Basically,
yeah. He's like, oh, it's a werewolf, it's aliens, it's blah blah blah, and yet, props to Jim Cummings' wacky, recovering alcoholic character. You know,
like he definitely he wrote his character into like loop after a loop, and it was pretty entertaining. And it's like he's the now sheriff, the son of the former sheriff, played by Robert Forster, which is this is actually one of his last movies.
I think it was his last like actual like
movie,
on the IMDb,
yeah. Because
credits.
he was also on Last Man Standing with Tim Allen as his father.
Yeah,
and he ended up they wrote his character off as he passed if he passed away in that show, just have him do a send off.
Yeah, one of my favorite later career films from him is Jackie Brown. So yeah, good stuff.
Oh, Jackie Brown was fantastic.
Yeah, man.
But we're talking about Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Yeah, truly. So yeah, man, Jim Cummings is he's kind of a schmuck, kind of a shithead.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Like it's hard. There's times it's hard to like his character. But yeah, so real quick, just wrap back up on the story. So yeah, after a few vicious attacks throughout the town, are they done by a human? Are they done by a wolf, werewolf, whatever?
Yeah.
Because all signs point to a werewolf. But it
or like local wildlife of some sort, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
bear, packs of wolves, whatever.
Yep, and then basically you just follow Jim Cummings and his team tracking him down to figure out on a whodunit. But all in all, I would say for the just real quick now jumping into effects, everything for the effects that we had portrayed in the certain scenes, they were actually done pretty well. And not really giving on a spoiler, but when we got around to the ending, once you had that reveal,
the actual revelation,
the revelation, like it was still like that breath of fresh air, because it was not what you were necessarily expecting, but it was, 60-40, half dozen the other way. It was still nicely done, and the effects for what they had, they presented it nicely.
Yeah, in that regard.
Nighttime snow shots, baby. I tell
you what,
fucking sexy.
All into it. No, they're not. They definitely are, and that's where, being a desert dweller, as I am, it's kind of like there's a mystique to the snow and the serene uncertainness of it. It's very different, and yet still intriguing in that regard. I love the bit where you finally get the reveal. We're not spoiling, but he's like, "Can you stand up like to your actual height, champ?" And he makes the guy stand up, and then that's I guess mildly spoilery, but very effective scene. I know, that's why I'm backing off.
Acting. Let's jump real quick into
the acting was great, man. I think Jim Cummings, like, he owns it so much in the fact that early on, where he's at his AA meeting, and he's like, I would like to take one of, I forget the name of the device, and he's like, I would like to take it into her house and like just rummage and destroy everything. He's like, I wouldn't want to hurt anybody. He's trying to save face in front of everybody. There are times he wants to fuck up her life, and he's just
there are times like he acts that perfect, just like, holy shit, you're a raging alcoholic piece of shit. Like, how am I supposed to like your character? But he plays both sides of that like, oddly enough, that lovable douchebag.
Also, when you see the unreasonability of the diner scene with him and the daughter, where he's like, I'm trying to find a murderer, and still the former wife still doesn't care, and she's just like, no, she's going to gymnastics school, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, wow, well, I guess the people whose lives I'm trying to, help out are not necessarily important. So
you agree then the like, along with him, the supporting characters are Robert Forster,
absolutely.
for what we had in there, he was great.
Little
he was
bits
funny
here and there. Yeah, the guys
he shined in his little dry humor now and then.
Yeah, the guys that he butts heads with too, like like the forensics guy, where the forensics guy is like, you need to do your job, and he's like, well, you need to do your job, and they get in that fight, which is really funny. Also the subordinates, and also the woman who is from Garfunkel and Oates, the tall blonde chick. She's a comedian. She's a comedian.
Ricky Lindholm.
Yeah, she's great, dude. She's awesome in this, and she ends up getting a proper promotion near the end of the movie without spoiling things, in any significant fashion. So seeing her in a proper feature film as opposed to just singing with a little shorty girl. Yeah, she's funny, and especially where there's a scene where the guy, she's like, oh, your tags are out of date, and she's like just joking with him about how she's going to arrest him if he doesn't do what she is imploring. So I don't know, it's another film very similar to what Cecil and I were talking about with the Piranha movie, where it's comedic but yet it really like rides the lines and straddles it, in the fact that it gets scary, and the scariness is serious, and yet it's still funny. So
there are some bits where you have that almost like that, what we want to call it, secondhand embarrassment. So it's like, even if you're watching it by yourself, there's some bits where you're just like, that was awkward. It was a little cringy, but all in all,
and there is one good gore scene, and it's where the woman.
Don't give it away. Shh, no.
Woman arm. That's all I'm saying.
Quiet. Shush your face. No. All in all, so really, because at this point we're gonna just get into the spoilers.
Yeah,
stuff.
And obviously, Seth, this is for you and hearing our thoughts, but we are all about this.
This movie was absolutely fantastic. So I think wrapping up for the review on this, I would say if you haven't watched this, go check this out. Especially if you're into like werewolf movies or the mystery whodunit kind of thing. Yeah. Go check out Wolf of Snow Hollow. If you don't like it, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, the thing that I talked with our Wolfman Robert here about previous to this film is that a lot of people don't like this movie because they don't like Jim Cummings' performance. They feel like his vibe that he brings throws everything off.
I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like, it took a minute for all that to grow on me. It is what it is. If you don't like it,
I'm not saying that's the way I feel,
If
because
you
I think
haven't
it's
wa-
funny
if you
as shit,
haven't
dude.
watched
The
it-
beta test, like, shit, that guy's funny as hell. But for me, I can see how it's off-putting for some.
Oh well. If you
Yeah.
haven't watched it, go check it out.
Damn right.
Fun.
Yeah.
Anyways,
The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
yep. So all in all, I think that's gonna do it for this review. Thank you again, Seth, and thank you everybody else on our patrons. You guys are awesome. So from everyone here at the Horror Show, I'm Robert the Wolfman.
Gracias. I mean, Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.